Alright, so apparently I have spectacles now because I've been on my phone too much or on my computer or both. I'm just gonna take these off for this video. What's up guys, Anubhav here. Welcome back to a brand new video here on the channel. Now today we're talking about something that has been a very requested video from you guys. We're talking about 5 ways on how you can improve your B-roll and essentially spice up your footage to make it look more cinematic and more amazing. These are things that I have done and learned through my years of taking B-roll and whatever I've shot. So I hope these tips will be able to help you guys. If this video topic interests you, be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, don't forget to hit the bell icon, and without any further ado, let's get started. Alright guys, so the first tip that I have for all of you guys who want to get better B-roll, and this goes regardless of whether you're shooting on a camera or on your mobile phone, it applies just the same, is that if you have the opportunity to take a footage in slow motion, if that is obviously not ruining the shot or it's not a narrative shot and it's just something that you can afford to take in slow motion or essentially at a higher frame rate, you probably should. Now the reason I say this is because we all know that slow motion B-roll is out there and everyone's using it and almost overusing it at some point. But here's the deal, at a beginner level where you don't have fancy gimbals or stabilization techniques, and if you don't have shots that are properly framed and that don't move in a regular pacing, then I think using slow motion with your B-roll is a very good idea and a very creative idea to spice things up, because you've got the control, so you can speed ramp things, you can change things from one shot to the other, and all in all it's just more cinematic and more smooth. Now keep in mind, cinematic does not translate to slow motion videos. I think a lot of people have misunderstood this point and just started using slow motion everywhere because it sort of looks cool, but it's not inherently cinematic since there is no narrative value in it. So I could suggest you guys to shoot in slow motion, but only those shots that will not take anything away from whatever you're shooting and will not necessarily butcher the narrative just to make things look more cinematic. So yeah, use slow motion, but only when you can, and your B-roll will come out much better. Alright guys, let's talk about the second tip. And while we talked about stabilization in the first tip, we obviously need something to stabilize our videos in the second tip, right? Well, isn't this point extremely overused, Anubhav? Doesn't everyone know that you already have to stabilize your footage whenever you want to make it look cinematic or are taking B-roll? Well, yes, a lot of people stress on it and it is an overused point to some extent, but I still don't see all of you using proper, stabilization equipments. Now you could either have a stabilized camera, a stabilized lens, you could have a gimbal, which are considerably expensive if we're looking at things from an independent filmmaker's point of view. But you know what's not expensive? These things. I've been hiding this for a long time, so yeah. So this is a GorillaPod, in case you guys didn't know, and don't worry, it's not the fancy one from Joby that costs around 6,000-7,000 rupees or roughly $100 if you're not from India. This is a GorillaPod which I bought locally from a market back when I was in Calcutta almost 2 years back, and I've been using it ever since to get footage, or at least B-roll footage, whenever I need an extra set of stabilization, even though I do have a gimbal, but I don't really use it because I think this gets the job done for most of us. Now, one of the cool things that you can do is essentially bend this in to something that looks like this, so you can basically have a two-hand support or a dual grip, and if you want a third angle of support, you can always straighten this and essentially put it on your shoulder so that your camera mounts on here and it becomes sort of a very stable, because your body is attached to it and you've got your two hands to distribute the weight. So I think taking B-roll this way is something that is extremely good, and we've been shooting a couple of short films at college recently, and I've been using this tip to essentially try and take some of the handheld footage that we have to take outdoors, because it's a short film and focus shots are not really something that we're into right now. So try and get your hands on a GorillaPod. These are incredibly cheap. You can find them for tops 500 rupees in your local camera shop. So check this out and use the 3-handle setup, and I think your b-roll will be much better than what you started with. So definitely check it out. Alright guys, so tip number 3 is following your subject to get more creative shots. Now it doesn't matter whether you follow your subject using your phone's camera, your drone's camera, or even your DSLR or mirrorless setup, whatever you're using. As long as you follow your subject, whether your subject is doing something or coming back from something, it leads to a various array of opportunities where you can get a lot of creative shots. A lot of things that I said in my previous mobile photography video also applies here, basically shooting through things, shooting out of things. But whenever you follow a subject with the camera and the subject either in front or in behind the frame, it looks absolutely great because it opens up a lot of different areas where you can move the camera, take different panning shots, take following shots and follow pans and tilts and all of that cool stuff. But none of it will really happen if you don't really have a subject to follow or a subject to film. So whenever next time you want to try out or practice some b-roll, make sure you have a subject that is in front of the frame and you ask the subject to perform any action, whereas you take your camera and try to find out creative one-shot methods to take one of these shots and make them look really cool. This is something that we're currently learning in class right now. So in case you guys didn't know, my course is actually on cinematography, and we've been learning how to take a lot of one-shot takes. So we've been asked to submit assignments on complete one-shot short films which have a beginning, a middle and an end, but it's just a single camera shot, and whatever happens in the frame, that same camera, that same shot moves across different areas of whatever blocking you've done, and essentially you take a short film from a single shot. This is something that you guys can also try out as a fun little experiment on your own. So try and shoot some b-roll where you just have a single take, and basically you have a single shot and all you do in the shot is what constitutes the entire film or whatever idea that you guys have. Do this and I think your shots will turn out much better. So yeah, let's move on to the next one. Alright, let's go to tip number 4, and this is something that I personally do a lot in most of my videos that are here on the channel. You will always find a b-roll segment in the front or the beginning of my video which is essentially edited to the beat of the background music that I use. You see, cinematic shots, slow motion shots, stable shots alone are not enough to make your b-roll attractive or to make your b-roll top notch. Another extremely important part that constitutes to a major part of how classy your b-roll is obviously at the end of the day going to be the post-production work that you do on it. Now this could be transitions, this could be your color grading, but the most important aspect of one of these sections is the music and the kind of edit that you decide to do based on the music. A very simple thing to do is essentially pick the beats of the track that you are using in the background and change your shots on the consecutive beats, which is also known as beat by beat cuts and beat by beat editing. There are a lot of tutorials on YouTube where you can learn how to do this, and you can also do it on your own by just trying new things with a single track and a couple of shots. They look really cool and they make your footage look 10 times better, especially if done correctly. So definitely check this one out. Alright guys, last but not the least is again a pretty obvious point, but this is about framing. Now you see, a lot of the times we just think that a frame is basically what is being captured by the camera, and it is essentially what we basically decide to keep in the shot or not in the shot. While these things are sort of true definitions of what a frame is, the entire act of framing is a very difficult and different process of art direction where you basically put things inside a frame which have a purpose that add to the certain story. So if I am talking about a book reading application and I'm taking the b-roll of the book reading application and I keep a couple of books on the background, they don't really add any relevance directly to the frame, but if you think about it indirectly, those books convey the fact that I am actually showing you a shot of an application which is, let's say, an ebook reader. So things like this, stuff like this, where basically you decide what goes inside the frame and how you take a particular shot will really help you round your b-roll up, because then only the shots that have actual relevance to what you're trying to show or what you're trying to convey to your audience will be inside the frame. And that way I think it will be the most amazing b-roll that there is, because we always seem to forget in this world of crazy transitions and travel videos and color grading and music tutorials that b-roll is essentially something that helps you understand the a-roll better. It's a secondary shot. It's supposed to be a shot that will help you understand the primary point of the video or the A-roll. You guys might have seen several shots in this video where I'm trying to explain to you how to do certain things, but I'm also sitting here and there's a shot where you see me talking on your phones or your computer screen. That is A-roll, and the shots that are shown in order for you guys to understand what I'm saying is the B-roll. So never forget this basic relationship, and I think those are all the tips that will help you get your B-roll on point. And well guys, that is pretty much it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy it, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Also, we are almost at 199k, 200k is just around the corner. I have a lot of exciting news for you guys. So if you watch the video till here, a super cool thumbs up to you. You guys are the real OGs and I love you all. Until then, this is Anubhav signing out. I will catch you guys next time. You guys have a great day. Peace out.